The Mayo Experience.
That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings, a first ever on the Pat Mayo Experience, the 2022 Custy Awards preview show. Almost like the Golden Globes or the Oscars, we have to have a sit-down panel to really go through these categories, break them down one by one, because the ballot this year is incredibly tough, and I need to make my choices. I need to fill it out. If you haven't filled out your ballot for the Custy Awards yet, it's easy. Just hit the description of this video or podcast, and you can go vote. Go vote in the Custy Awards. The more votes, the better. I swear to God, I may or may not be stealing your email address when you do it, so be careful about that. Either way, remember to smash the like button for the video. You give me your favorite Cust moment from the past year down in the comment section. Sub to Mayo Media Network, and more importantly, if you check the description, there will be a list of links for a podcast feed that is Cust Corner only, the Cust Corner exclusive feed. Highly recommend that everyone go back in time, relive the custiest takes of all time, with all previous Custy Awards up there already, and leave a rating and review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well to show your support for Tim Andercursed.
Tim Andercursed.
Let's bring in the esteemed panel. First up, host of the Fantasy Golf Degenerates on the Mayo Media Network, Kenny Kim. Kenny, you've been waiting a long time to talk Cust-related things, but he's not here right now.
I know. I've been bugging Pat for I don't know how long to be on a Cust-related show, and this is fine with me. We can talk about his craziness and wildness. I am ready, and I'll be even more ready as the show progresses. I can tell you that right now.
I can't wait for the hottest of takes. You've gone back and listened to a bunch of the old ones recently, haven't you?
So when I wasn't a big podcast guy until this past year, and what got me on the podcast was that Cust Corner feed that you got. I went back and listened to all of them. Those are like the first pods I ever listened to like in my life. I don't even listen to mine. Okay. And I listened to all of them, like literally binge listen to them all. The beginning ones, I agree with a lot of Cust stuff. I just think it gets, as time has gone by, a little bit wilder for Cust, a little bit wilder.
No, he feels more comfortable in getting those crazy takes out into the world. Up next, Jeremy Keefe, someone I grew up with and has met Cust in real life. Jeremy, please tell us about when you met Cust.
Oh, I think it was about 5 years ago. We were at your mom's place, and until he walked in the door, honestly, I thought you had been pulling the wool over all the viewers and listeners' eyes for so long. He's never on camera. He's always on a phone board kind of thing. I didn't think Cust actually existed. And you walked in and it was like, it was like seeing the Yeti or, Bigfoot, something like that. Loch Ness Monster. I couldn't believe it. And there he was in the flesh. So ever since, much like Kenny, I've been trying to, beg you to bring me on and discuss all things Cust. I know that during the Trump presidency, Daniel Dale really kind of shot to fame as the fact checker for the president. And I believe that somebody needs to be the Cust fact checker. So that's kind of the role that I'm hoping to play here.
All right. Up last, Aaron Bronsteter, who, I guess we can tell them now, you were the one who sent that Netflix email to Tim, and he got panic mode.
Yeah, I listened to the show, and just hearing him go silent when you talked about sharing Disney Plus and Netflix accounts was gold for me, because he just is worried that like the feds are going to come and knock his door down for sharing an account with you. And I felt like we had to kind of take it up a notch. And I sent you a message saying, what do you think? Should we do this? We need to get someone to do that. And I said I would take care of it, and it got taken care of. And unfortunately, your wife's Netflix account was kind of a casualty of this.
We got it back. We eventually, after we convinced him that it wasn't a real email, he reinstated our privileges, although he won't take my Disney Plus password anymore.
Oh, so that's off the table now. So now he's missing out on Pam and Tommy and the like.
Hey, listen, I've watched the first 3 episodes of Pam and Tommy. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's in my queue. I got to check that out.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think you do. So let's jump right into the categories then. So everyone gets a chance to vote in the Custy Awards just once. You can't be like Tim and try to buy a bot farm to have 800 votes into your favor. There's the one big category towards the end, but each of these categories, they trigger something in people's mind. Because I kind of remember where I was when a lot of this stuff was said. Obviously, a lot of it was said to me, so that should make sense. But sometimes I'm just scrolling through Twitter. I'm like, oh my God, that's a bad take. And trying to think about what that day was all about going on in sports. So it's funny that it started this way. That the most Andercursed sport would be up first. Because, I mean, the Andercursed really started with sports and making bad predictions and like betting on minus 1,000 favorites and calling them locks and then seeing them lose. But now it's been relegated to the curtain jerker. It's the first one. Like no one really cares about the sports takes anymore, but there's some pretty good ones in here. So people can go through with the Custy Awards as we go through. But Kenny, when you were skimming the sports ones, was there one that stood out to you? Because at one point in time, you were a benefactor of the Andercursed when Washington finally won the cup.
Yeah, that was nice. I was a big fan of that one where he said that, you know, he was on the Caps for every year prior to their Stanley Cup win. I mean, that was one of my biggest sports moments of my life. You know, I've been a Caps fan since I was 6 years old. I'm 41 now. So for 35 years of my life, 30 plus years of my life, I was waiting for that cup, and it was amazing. And thank you, Tim, for that one. The one that stuck out on my mind is usually when it comes to death. For a sports figure, the Medina Spirit one, where he selected Medina Spirit, the winner of the Kentucky Derby, to win the Preakness, and the horse ended up dying before the Preakness started. That one, it was one that I looked at and I was like, that's got to be the one I have to vote for, probably, for that one. When it comes to death, which, you know, Cust, almost a serial killer. The man is sort of like Dexter out there, you know, he doesn't even know. You can do a show. I was thinking about doing a show, pitching a show with Tim, where, like, you know, he thinks about somebody before he goes to bed, and when he goes to sleep, his spirit comes out of his body and it goes and kills that person, because it seems like it happens way more than it should, way more. So I'm going with the death one, the Madden one, of course. John died right after he received a copy of Madden 22. So I'm going with the death topics for Tim on this one.
I mean, that's two horses he's killed now. He's the equine killer, I think.
Yeah.
Jeremy, what are you thinking on this one?
I agree with Kenny. I mean, just before you said it, I was thinking, I don't even think that's the first time, and probably not the last, that he kills a horse. I think that's kind of the runaway favorite here to sort of, you know, no pun intended. But at the same time, looking through this list, I was thinking, you know, sometimes you know, your viewers and listeners might just think, why would we listen? That we've got the Minnesota Vikings on here who thought we're going to go almost all the way. And then he even said that people should think that Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I don't know how far left you have to be to actually think that in this day and age. I don't think anybody really thinks it. So sometimes I go through these Custy Awards ballots and I wonder, why do we even give this guy a platform? But at the same time, it's too entertaining not to.
So Medina Spirit, Bronsteter, is the one that's coming up here. I'm looking at one right now, and there's two of them, and one of them I just find so funny. One is Travis Fulgham, because he called Travis Fulgham a future star in the preseason. Then he was cut like a week later, a future star, mind you. And then he played on the Broncos practice squad the entire season. But this Jake Fromm, that when Jake Fromm was drafted, Cust immediately called him the best quarterback on the Bills and said he would start over Josh Allen.
Yeah, I mean, oh, my bad. Go ahead, Aaron. Go ahead.
I think he was being tongue-in-cheek with that one a little bit, just to like upset Paul. But I'm with you on Fulgham. For some reason, like whenever I hear Travis Fulgham's name now, I have him like intertwined with the curse, because he had like a pretty good season last year. And then Cust mentioned him in the preseason when you guys were talking about the Eagles, and he was cut like that week. Like he was saying that he would be a fantastic player. Fulgham was basically cut that week, and we didn't hear anything about him all season. He played one game, had no targets for the entire season, and he had a good year last year. Like I don't know if there was an injury involved, but the curse seemed to have really impacted Fulgham's career like in a pretty dire fashion. Like Kenny, I tried to gravitate more towards the ones that involve death, because I just think they're so out there and strange, and I think that the one that he picked probably will win. But for some reason, like whenever I hear the name Travis Fulgham, I just think of Cust.
All right. Well, the other one on here too. I guess the most is Fulgham the most cursed guy of 2021, or is it Louis Oosthuizen, Kenny?
Yeah, I mean the Louis one hurt. You know what I'm saying? The guy was out there, he's trying to get that major championship, that second major once again, and Tim's like, he'd be delighted if Usti wins. It's like he knew what he was doing. Maybe he had money on something else. Maybe he's using the curse to his advantage. I don't know what he's doing behind the scenes, but yeah. But the thing is, like, really, when it comes to sports takes, if you've listened to Cust long enough, you realize he's wrong like 98% of the time. So like none of these should really be that surprising when it comes to the list. But when it comes to death, that's the kicker for me. When it comes to sports, that's the kicker.
I never thought I'd be having, like you said, a serial killer type person on my show every single week. And then I hang out. Should I be concerned considering I see this guy like twice a week?
I mean, it's possible. I would be wary. Hopefully he doesn't be like, oh, Mayo's going to have the #1 show on YouTube within a year span. If he says something like that, I would just lock myself in the house and not leave for like a long time.
Pat, I think that sometimes, the curse only really works when he just brings up someone in an almost obscure way. You might already have immunity because you've had so much interaction with him. I mean, if nothing's happened yet, then I think you might be good.
So what you're saying is I don't need to take my Cust vaccine. I'm just naturally immune.
You're immunized from Cust curse.
I mean, Pat, you could be an accomplice if people think about this, long enough. You're the one that lets him on the show, and he says what he says on your show. You could be the accomplice. You could be like, I don't know, Dexter's dude who he taught how to kill at the end of the last season or something like that. I don't know.
Is that what happened at the end of last season? Did you just spoil that for me?
No, that's not the new season. That was the final season of the original series, right? He had that little boy that he was teaching. He saw the darkness in him, and he tried to bring it out. So the right way. So I don't know. Maybe you're I don't know what the word is, helping him along in the process of murdering dozens of people.
Well, I didn't realize you were his attorney, but I don't like to hear that. I think we should be focused on Cust for this one.
You might be getting a cease and desist order.
Yeah, I'll be getting an email
having him make these predictions.
Those are going around.
I'll be getting it from the.law@gmail.com.
Exactly.
All right.
God's lawyer at gmail.com.
Most Andercursed non-sports, pretty thin category this year. We banked a lot of good ones for like the big categories. But again, this used to be one of the featured categories. So Jeremy, we'll start with you on this one. There's only 6 nominees this year, which seems thin.
Yeah, it does. But I mean, that doesn't mean that the other categories don't make up for it. When it comes to the most Andercursed non-sports, he talked about those Batman and Robin cups, which by the way, are actually Batman Forever cups. I remember I had them when I was 12 and probably didn't still have them when I was 13 because I'm a normal human being. I'm wondering if we can get a GoFundMe going. Somebody's got to have a set of these cups that we can get back to Cust, because they might have been his #1 prized possession. That being said, we talk about Medina Spirit and some of the other deaths that have come on from the curse, and sometimes you think that maybe there might be something worse than death, and that might be having your life ruined. So I got to take Cuomo in this one. What he did to this poor politician's career this year, it might be a fate worse than death.
Well, it's strange too, because usually it's someone Tim likes, and he really hates Andrew Cuomo. So this was him using the Andercursed for his own benefit, maybe, Aaron, for the first time ever.
Yeah, I think that maybe he should buy books for all the people he doesn't like and tout them on your show. I mentioned to you in a private message that there was one thing that was missing from this list that I loved, that to me is like the standout non-sports Andercursed of the year, which was that radio show that he used to listen to in Halifax.
That was last year. That had all Jeremy's. Those were all Jeremy's friends too.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was like in December. That was in December. No, wasn't that this past Christmas?
No, it won like 3 Custies last year.
Oh, okay. Well, then never mind. I thought it was this past Christmas when it happened, where he was complaining about the format change, and then suddenly, like on the show, Paul broke the news to him that they were no longer employed at the station, and that there was like a total format change at the station.
That's a tough scene. That might be in the all-time, because I think that's what we're doing every year now, is that we're having one category that's like the all-time biggest Andercurse. That might be a front runner for biggest all-time Andercurse. I don't know. That'd be a tough category, Kenny.
That was a good one. I mean, I felt bad for them. And the thing is, the one time I felt really bad for Tim was when those cups got destroyed, because he'd been talking about those cups for years, and that wasn't like a one-time thing. Like from like the early on cups, we've known about those Batman Return cups and how much prized they were in his collection, And so when I heard that story, you could hear the pain in his voice talking about those cups. I felt for him on that one. I mean, I don't know if I'll necessarily vote for it, but that's the one where, like, man, I felt bad for Tim about that one, because people like different things. Tim likes weird stuff that is not worth a penny, but he thinks it is, and that's really, what's important, what you think something is worth, and he thought those things were worth a lot, even though they weren't worth shit. But those things really getting destroyed, I think it was melted, or his father threw them away, or I don't remember the exact story. I know that they are just not around anymore. And I agree with Jeremy. If anyone has those type of cups, we should just go ahead and mail them over.
No, you need like a $60 GoFundMe to get those.
Yeah.
It wouldn't even come.
All we'd have to pay was shipping.
I'm looking at it right. I'm looking at it right now, because I told him I would reimburse his set of mugs if he wanted to, but he didn't want them because they weren't his. I'm looking at them on eBay right now. It's $13 for the entire set.
Yeah, let's get a GoFundMe going, and we'll surprise him over the holidays. It'll be a nice gift for him to have them back, but they will be his once he has them. That's the part he doesn't understand.
Well, he's too busy trying to buy old Planters glass jars off one of our other friends who knows it's worthless, yet still won't sell it to him.
I mean, it's priceless. Not necessarily worthless, but priceless.
I guess so.
And give me the background on the Pizza Delight story, because when did the guy die? Like right before you started recording the show? I don't remember the story.
I honestly don't remember it either. You're gonna have to ask Rob McIntyre, curator of the Custies, about this one. I think it was just like an offhand comment, then the guy like died the next day.
Bobby Mack, like the lefty, the Englishman, he's the guy who does all this for you.
It is. He's playing over in Saudi Arabia golf, and he's also listening to Cust. Like he has a Cust like notification feed on his phone. He's just jotting it down to put in the Custies for the next year. But yeah,
Pat, just before we move on to another category, I just want to say, a happy update. All of those people from that radio show did land on their feet and get other jobs, but you might notice that Cust hasn't talked about them since. So even if we do think of this one as a legacy, maybe most Andercursed non-sports of all time, if he ever does bring it up, or if he changes channels and starts listening to the new show, it might be like a double cursed whammy.
Well, first off, they're lucky that they're not dead, really, is what it comes down to. They are very, very lucky that they are not deceased at this moment in time. So that's probably just as good as getting another job, really.
So we haven't talked about this on the show yet, because we're recording this a little bit early. I don't even know if this is going to make the show, but we were going through a thing in our group chat today, like our huge group chat with like 10 people in it, about how Cust still listens to the radio and was flummoxed that no other person in the chat actually listens to the radio when they drive. And they were like, well, and everyone just told us like, yeah, I connected to my phone and listened to Spotify, or I listened to podcast Bronsteter or something like that. Do you listen to the radio in your car?
Oh, I do what you say. I plug my phone in and I listen to what I feel like listening to. We're in a society with unlimited choice. Infinite content, as the Arcade Fire would say. We're infinitely content.
Does anyone still listen to the radio in their car? Kenny, maybe you?
No, I do not. But the one thing I will say about that is it took me a little bit. Like, I'm an older guy. I'm 40. I'm turning 42. God, I'm old. I'm turning 42 this year, okay? And so I sort of understood Cust's hesitancy to not be glad about change, not want change. I was just like that. But once I decided, I went ahead and made the move to, a smart TV. Okay. Once I made the move to like Spotify instead of the radio, it like improved my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, Tim needs to think about this. This is a shout out to Tim. And Tim, if you're watching, I understand where you're coming from when it comes to not trying new shit, because I'm not a fan of new shit. I like the way stuff is, but it's just in the time that we are now, everything is advancing, technology so quick that we have to take advantage of it, because it really does make everything so much easier. You listening to your music on YouTube is silly. It's really, really fucking stupid. I apologize, Tim. I know I was with you on this. Just get Spotify. Just get it. It makes life easier. Get a smart TV. Don't watch Netflix on your laptop. Move that onto the 85-inch TV you have in your wall. It will make everything better. I understand it's tough to do that now because you don't want to. Change sucks. But this is going to be good for you, Tim. Please. I'm saying this as a fan. You can do it. You can do it, buddy.
All of these artists are trying to get Spotify canceled. All they really need to do is pay Tim to get on Spotify, and I think they'd have a better shot here.
If Tim just starts talking about Spotify, they'll just the whole business will just shut down for some reason. Like something will happen that will cause the entire business model to erupt.
Jeremy, Jeremy, you're a newsman, so this will be like close to your heart. He said he likes listening to the radio because if he listens to stuff that's downloaded, it cuts you off from the news hits that come in.
I mean, I don't understand that take, because I mean, there's more news podcasts probably than he would find on his radio dial. You've got a unanimous panel here when it comes to radio. I don't listen to it in the car unless, I run out of podcasts in my feed. But, keep in mind, Pat, you're talking to three people who aren't thinking that if they plug their phones into their car that it's going to blow up the engine.
With his $250 car charger.
My mom, who's in her 60s, recently had the same thing where she plugged her phone into her car, or it was connected through Bluetooth, and it said this amount of time to get to, I think it was my house, because on Sundays she comes over, and she was freaked out by that, just like Cust is. He's freaked out by the fact that your phone knows where you're going at a certain time of day.
He still hasn't quite figured that one out. He doesn't know how the phone knows where he's going yet, despite the fact, like we told him, he only goes to the same three places. All right, let's move on.
McDonald's, his grandmother's house.
At my place on Sundays for football.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's lifts now, so the gym, maybe.
Right.
We'll see about that, though.
I heard he quit smoking. That's good for. I'm sorry. I heard he quit smoking. It's great.
I mean, by the time this comes out, I don't know if he's still going to be quit or not.
That's true. I'm hot boxing cigarettes left and right during the show, so it's probably I need to learn from Tim, I guess, on that one.
It's fine. Most reverse cursed. You got Baker Mayfield, the U.S. Ryder Cup team, John Rahm, Phil Mickelson, a lot of athletes in here. Pepsi Cola is one that really sticks out, though. Tim has long decreed Pepsi as, quote, trash and for the plebs to drink compared to Coca-Cola products. And Pepsi had its best year in sales in over a decade in 2021, Bronsteter.
Yeah, I think that would be the one that I would go with, because he just so passionately hates Pepsi that the fact that they've had their best year ever, like what was the conduit for them to have such a big year? Like, it's the same product. Nobody's making this big switch, I would imagine. Like, if you're loyal to one of these brands, what would compel you to switch to Pepsi? Plus, Pepsi just had all that bad PR recently with, I think they were donating to certain political campaigns, and people were upset about that. So, like, I don't understand why Pepsi suddenly became this, a bigger product. I remember when they had the Pepsi Taste Challenge when we were kids, and like Pepsi started to grow a little bit off of that. But I just don't know why suddenly people are gravitating towards their product. And I think that it's just I think it's because Tim puts it out into the atmosphere that Pepsi is trash, and then people just start to gravitate towards it just because that's the way that karma works.
Interesting. Do you guys have any sort of lean outside of Pepsi here, Jeremy?
Every year that we do these, we fill out these ballots. I wonder if there's going to be a category where I just can't possibly make a choice. And I started with this one. I clicked Baker Mayfield. Then I read the next one, United States Golf. I clicked that one. I got down to the Miami Dolphins before I realized that there's literally every single one of these is a legitimate contender here. I went with Miami. only because I couldn't knock the feeling that what if he didn't say anything? What would the rest of their season have looked like if Cust just stayed out of it? So that's my pick this time. But again, I wouldn't fault anybody for checking the box on any of these options.
So, Kenny, he actually used his reverse curse for good on Phil Mickelson at the PGA Championship because he loves Phil, yet for whatever reason, before every round, including the first round, he had to put it out into the ether that Phil Mickelson had no chance of winning.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, like I said, we're used to Tim always being wrong with sports takes. Always being wrong with sports takes. So none of those sports, all of these are sports takes except the Pepsi one. And because Tim is so pro Coca-Cola, Diet Coke, that's the one I have to go with. There's really no doubt in my mind because, I mean, it's just, the other ones are like, okay, yeah, Tim's always wrong on those. And, he's going to be wrong. And then when you see that happen on Twitter or on your show, you automatically bet the opposite side. And it's helpful. It's helpful. So the one that I have to go with is the Pepsi one on this one as well. Same with Aaron.
All right. Well, we're into the good categories now. So we can really, because everyone's going to have a different opinion on this one. So most egregious claim is up next.
So
this is tough.
I think it's an easy one.
God.
Oh, really? Okay.
Easy?
So
this is the hardest one for me, man.
Bronsteter, let's hear it. What's the easy choice here?
Well, to me, it's the mock draft because nobody has in the history of the world gotten all 32 picks right. So for him to think it's easy to do that is ludicrous. At least with surfing, swimming, being a pilot, throwing a javelin, juking out juking out a receiver, juking out a cornerback rather on a screen. Like people have done this in human history. There is not a single mock draft on the planet that has ever gotten 32 correct. Like it's never happened. Like more people have won the lottery and gotten correct numbers to win the Powerball than have actually gotten all 32 picks on a mock draft correct. So for him to believe that is an easy thing for him to do, like he cannot cite a single person that's ever done it. And that's why I think it's the easy answer.
I like that not only did he claim that, once he thought about it and tried to do it, he didn't even release a pick for a mock draft.
Well, even the attempt to me is irrelevant. Like if he attempted any of these, he'd fail miserably. And that's why I think that all of these are very valid candidates, but nobody can get all 32 right. It's never happened ever. So for him to believe that he could do that easily, I think that's the most egregious claim, just because it's never been done at all, period.
Oh, I don't know. I think some of these are still almost as, that's probably the most impossible to do, but it's not most impossible claim. It's most egregious claim. Jeremy, what do you...
he physically could at least attempt. Like he could attempt that one and like he wouldn't fall on his face until the draft actually happened. The other ones, at least, he would fail probably pretty instantly.
Maybe we need to film these. Jeremy, what were you thinking for this?
Aaron sort of mentioned it. It's when you don't do something, you just have this ability to think that you can do it. So he's never surfed. So he just looks at it and goes, oh, I could do that. He thinks that he can drop from space and land safely on Earth because he's never done it. I look at the juking out cornerback, like an NFL level cornerback. And this is, Tim's a big guy, right? He's not fast, as you know, when you had him run the 40 a couple of years ago at the Super Bowl. And I went back after I heard him talking about how he feels about wearing his Blue Nose marathon, half marathon, I should indicate also, on race day. And out of 1,479 people who ran that and walked it, he finished 1,453rd. So this is not a fast man. And saying that he could juke out an NFL level cornerback, that's so egregious that it can't be missed.
All right, so we got that's a pretty compelling case for juking out the quarterback. I like having been to Tim's house with the lake that he lives on and seeing the distance that it would take to start at his shore, swim across the lake, and swim back. You want to talk about murder, Kenny? Like, he'd kill himself.
Yeah, so I'm going on the death route once again for this one. Like, okay, so juking out a quarterback, Tim might die on that one. Only one person. Javelin throw, he might break his arm. Okay, swimming, only Tim can die. Surfing, only Tim can die. A pilot trying to take off and land a plane and saying that is easy, where all these pilots that drive these commercial planes have had to have thousands I know a pilot, okay? One of my friends, she's a really good friend. The amount of training. I went on a flight with her. It was like hour 240 or something that she'd been in the air, okay? So she's had experience. I thought it was a small jet. I thought we were going to die. Like, I thought we were going to die the whole time I was in that plane, okay? Yuri, I love you. If you're watching this, we were good, okay? But it was an Asian woman too. I shouldn't say that. I'm sorry. I'm Asian. I can say that. I'm allowed to, okay? But I thought we were going to die the whole time. So I'm going to death through. Tim would kill hundreds of people if he tried to take off and land a plane. Hundreds of people would die. That's the one I'm going with for this one.
I mean, that's the most terrifying one, I think, Bronsteter.
Yes, by far.
I feel like he could learn how to do it. It's not going to be easy, but if he took like years of courses doing this,
you want to know what?
Don't you think that he might be able to do it
him
easily?
with that? Even if he had all the experience that you needed to take on for flights, you would really trust yourself?
Oh, I'm not saying I would trust him, but I'm saying that maybe if he did it for, like, I'd be afraid to be on a plane with Tim, let alone have him fly a plane. But I'm saying if he did like the amount of time that it takes for a pilot, maybe let's say a time and a half of the amount of time it took a professional pilot to learn how to take off and land a plane, he might be able to do it. The other ones, I don't know if he'd ever be able to do.
No.
Well,
he's a very intelligent man, but I mean,
of course he is.
I certainly wouldn't get on the plane no matter what, and I don't even want to be near the airspace that his plane is in if he's flying it. Like maybe I go underground or something that day.
Here's the most egregious part of the pilot claim, though, because he said taking off and landing is easy. Tim's brother is a pilot.
Okay, well, there you go. So maybe that's why he believes he can do it.
That's why he thinks he can do it, of course.
Because his brother can do it, so therefore I can do it?
Is it his younger brother?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that makes more sense then, too. Like, you don't think your younger brother or sister is going to be able to do something better than you. I mean, that's like the ego of the older child.
The guy went to, like, flight school for 4 years to learn how to fly.
I get it.
All right.
I get it.
Okay, now I think we got some debate on our hands. We need to embrace debate on this one. The worst take of 2021. I mean, I don't even know where to start. Kenny, do you got one?
Look, here's the thing. Some of these takes, I agree with Tim.
Hit me with that.
I'll go over it right now. The waffle cone one. The waffle cone one. Sugar cone, regular cone. Much better than a waffle cone. Just the way the ice cream sits on top. Okay? You don't need a spoon. It's a lot easier to eat. I'm with Tim. Fuck a waffle cone. All right? I'm with Tim on that one.
Okay, hold on. Do you actually think, so you prefer, I mean, regular cone sucks. I can see sugar cone over waffle cone. That's fine. But he also...
I like Tim's take on the regular cone, because when you put that cone and it melts, that ice cream sort of melts and
it gets soggy and gets all over your hand. It's horrible.
But just that, I eat quick. I'm a fast eater. Okay, so that could be what happens. But I like taking that bite of like that little cone that sticks out and having that ice cream flavor sogginess in that cone. You still get the crunchiness on the bottom part of the cone. Once you get past that little square deal there, you still get the crunchiness, but you get the sogginess up there with the flavor of the cone still in it. I'm 100% down with Tim on that one. There's a couple other ones, but Pat, if you want to go on the waffle cone.
I was going to say, do you also feel that waffle cones are used as status symbols for people to project that they're more important than they actually are?
I wouldn't go that far. Okay, you're right about that. I probably wouldn't go that far. But just on a taste, easiness type basis, I agree. I'm not a big fan of the waffle cone, because a lot of times you just got to eat with a spoon. Who wants to eat ice cream with a spoon? You know, I mean, like, that's what you do when you eat it out of waffle cone.
No,
a lot of it.
I mean, I don't know what waffle cones you're using. I have a cone. That's the waffle cone, and I have my 2 scoops on it of ice cream, and then I eat the ice cream. I don't need a spoon.
I don't know. The waffle cones that I have usually have like that spiral. It's like that spiral that goes up, but like one end is lower than the other end, so it's sort of hard to get that nice licking like smoothness that I like to do when I'm with
You get to eat that part of the
or
waffle
when
cone though
I'm with
first.
eating
You just
ice
take the
cream,
bite of the
yes.
waffle cone, and then you
No,
access
no,
the
no.
ice cream after that. And the waffle cone tastes great.
I got
Not to mention
bad
that it's already
teeth, too. That
touching
could be
the ice
another
cream.
thing.
You're getting a part of the ice cream on that.
Nah, not a
Waffle,
fan.
I hate the waffle cone take. I've just got to say, I think it's awful.
Give me sugar. Give me the regular. I'm with Tim on
Waffle
that.
cone is just a big sugar cone. It's just a bigger version, and you get more ice cream in it.
Nah, I'm not a fan. Not a fan. No. I'm with Tim on this one. I'm with Tim.
Jeremy-
100% Tim on this one.
Jeremy, you've been silent. Regular ice cream cones take like Catholic church wafers, is what they taste like, which is not good.
I agree. Well, I think a waffle cone is superior in every way. This is one take that really made me wonder. They had that Sopranos kind of prequel movie just come out, and you kind of got an idea of how Tony Soprano got to be who he is. And I feel like a Cust origin story would show him going to an ice cream shop with his grandmother or grandfather and then saying, oh, they're ordering waffle cones because they want to be seen or they think that they're better than you. That's why they're doing it. I think something like that needs to happen so that we can really kind of, get down to what makes Cust tick, because this is just such a weird take to have, to just hate on waffle cones. It certainly was a tough one for me not to pick. I did kind of think that the carbohydrates, as long as the food doesn't have high carbohydrates, it's definitely healthy or it's good for you, was a bit of a terrible take. But something that you can tell substantially is just incorrect would be that it's easier to swim 2K instead of run it. I mean, there's a reason why in the triathlons, it's not a longer distance that you're swimming. Like, he's just going against all science and all common sense with this one. So I'm taking swimming versus running in a very hard to decide on category.
So Kenny, when you said you agreed, because I think that's where I was going to land.
I have more.
Too.
I have plenty of more.
Okay.
I have more. I have way more.
Can I let us try to guess with the ones you agree? Are you a big fan of how fashionable corduroy pants are?
No, that was not one of them. No,
Corduroy pants are making a comeback though. Like corduroy pants are a part of modern fashion. They're coming back.
If you're thin, okay, wear corduroys. If you're fat like me and Tim, okay, when you wear corduroys, it makes that noise every step that you take. You that noise is not sexy. You don't want that thigh to thigh corduroy, noise. You don't want that.
It's just not a terrible take, is what I'm saying. It's not the worst take he's had.
And that's pretty bad for me. That was one of the ones that I would have picked on this one. The one that I would agree with. You all want to guess again, or you want me to just go ahead?
Buffet strategy.
Do you think that the Prince of Wales / Joe Biden are the best dressed people in their respective countries?
Okay, no. A lot of this is food takes for me that I agree
Buffet
with.
Strategy.
I'll tell you the next one. The mother of pearl spoon.
Okay.
He is 100% correct on that one, and I'll tell you why. I worked at a seafood restaurant. We sold caviar. If you do not use that spoon, it changes the taste of the caviar that you eat. I'm a big caviar fan. I'm sorry, okay? I'm not a man of the fucking people like Tim. I like what the fuck I like. If I have enough money, I will spend the fucking money and get what the fuck I want, okay? So I'm with Tim on that one. You need a mother of pearl spoon when you eat caviar, because if you use like a metal spoon, it oxidizes the egg and changes the flavor. So I'm 100% in agreement with the mother of pearl spoon. You need a mother of pearl spoon when it comes to eating caviar. Another one, the buffet strategy. I'm a fat guy. I try to avoid going to buffets because when I go, I try to eat till I'm comatose, just like Tim. That's what I do. There is a strategy when it comes to that as well. I think Tim talked about that. Asians, we're really good at this. When you go to an all-you-can-eat buffet, you need to get the most expensive everything first. The shrimp, the crab legs, the prime rib. That is what you feast on, but you eat it until you feel like you're going to die. That's why I don't go to buffets very much anymore. Maybe if I go with my family, I don't mind being an embarrassment in front of my family. I'm not going to go to a buffet with a chick or something like that. But like if I go to a buffet, I'm eating until I feel like I'm going to die. Now, the onion rings. much rather have onion rings than fries. 100% agree with Tim on that one. Fries are just so plain. Give me some crispy, crunchy onion rings.
This is where you need
to.
This is where you need to stop, though, because this is, I think, where we need to reconvene and we need to go around the horn on this one. I don't necessarily disagree with that one either. The issue is 95% of the time you order onion rings, Bronsteter, they're bad. Like, they're not the
I hate
crispy
onions. I just don't like onions, period. So I don't eat onion rings. So to say that I'm being needlessly contrarian as a result of that, I think is just you're ignoring what my preferences are. That's the thing I don't like about that particular statement is like, I don't eat onion rings, period, because I don't like onions. I think they're horrible. And the only time I'll eat anything with onions in it is if it's like really finely, like you can't even see them. Like Indian food, for example, love Indian food. And there's tons of onions in it, but it's the onions are like, they're not visible. They don't have that slimy taste. So onion rings for me are out, period.
Like, Jeremy, you get onion rings from the chicken burger. They're pretty good.
Yeah. No, I think Aaron's kind of right on with this one, because to say that onion rings are more popular than French fries, it doesn't matter if you like onion, Aaron doesn't like them. I do like them, but we probably all like French fries. French fries are so much more commonly eaten at lunch or in fast food settings. To say that everyone prefers onion rings is a terrible take. It's a horrible.
They should. They should prefer onion rings. They should. Fries are fries.
Maybe they should, but do they? I don't think they do.
No.
So
I think they should. I'm
agreeing with Tim.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with Tim. People should enjoy onion rings more than French fries, because French fries are just little potato pieces that are fried and whatever. You got to dip them in ketchup. Onion rings are delicious. They're crispy. They're crunchy. They got that good flavor. Give me onion rings every single time over French fries.
I feel like I feel like you've never had bad onion rings, because bad onion rings are horrible. Bad fries aren't necessarily bad. The floor for fries is so much higher than onion rings.
Maybe, but I mean, you could be right, because where I go, I know the onion rings are good, and so I'm getting the onion rings instead of the fries every time. So you could be right, but the thing is, I will say is the one thing when it comes to this category where I would vote for is a food take. And I actually hit Tim up on Twitter about this take, about the restaurant Christmas hours. It made me a little bit angry as a guy. Before I changed careers about a couple of years ago, okay? But for 20 years prior to that, I was in the service industry, okay? And so when it comes down to Christmas hours and them changing, what Tim, he even admitted it. So I got to give him credit when I talked to him about this on Twitter, because I sort of went off on him a little bit like a dick. Sorry, Tim. But can the employees have a day off? Is it okay? These are human beings.
No, but they want to work, according to Tim, on Christmas Day.
No, yeah, I know. And I was pissed off about that shit. Really, I like angry tweeted him. It's the first time I ever like angry tweeted Tim about that, because as a person who's worked in the service industry for almost half his life, give us a day off. Let us have the holidays off. If they change the hours, they change the hours. You can't fault a restaurant for that, for giving their employees a day off when 98% of the world has the day off. So that's my winner on this one. But I agree with a lot of Tim's takes in this one.
I don't want to get too much into the weeds on this one, but he's claiming that they lied to him by what Google lists as their regular hours. I mean, a lot of us would probably agree that, maybe we'd like to go there on these holidays. Sure. I mean, when it comes to a buffet, yeah, I want to get my money's worth, but I don't do it because I have self-respect. Like, there's the way he positioned some of these points, these takes is what's so wrong here. Even if underneath there is an element of truth.
Hours may change, Jeremy. It doesn't say that they will change. It says that they may change. So they should stay the same. Bronsteter, you've been quiet on this one. What are you going with as this?
There's one that I eliminate off the bat. Whenever Tim says that something has the best of something, that's always like out for me, because it's just such a ridiculous claim when he's only tried like a handful of places and says like McDonald's has the best pancakes. It's like it's a terrible take, but Tim just doesn't phrase it properly. He doesn't say of the pancakes I've tried, McDonald's are the best. He says they definitively have the best pancakes. So I always eliminate those because that's just a phrasing issue that Tim needs to address. Waffle cones really got me. Like the waffle cone one, I think it's just by far the superior way to eat ice cream. I can understand why people feel, might not like it. It's again a preference thing. It's onion rings versus fries. And I get it. To say that it's a status symbol, I mean, it is a little bit more expensive than the other cones. So I guess you could argue that. I still think it's a terrible take. The mother of pearl spoons, I don't understand anything about that, but Kenny seems to have a very passionate opinion on that. So maybe that was an okay take, but to consider yourself a man of the people and talk about caviar spoons, I think you're probably, again, on opposite sides of the fence. The District 9 one got me because District 9 was like it's written here, it was a great movie. Everybody seemed to like it. It got like, if you go to Rotten Tomatoes, it's probably like in the 90s. And Tim says that everybody thought it was horrible. So he always has those takes where he says, everybody said this. The Wendy's one, I think, is probably his worst take because Tim is like, oh, if they had like eggnog flavored Frosties at McDonald's or Flurries at McDonald's, I'd get them year round. Or like they should do St. Patrick's Day mint flavored Flurries. But like, because he doesn't like the latte flavor of Wendy's Frosty, he freaks out if there's new flavors of certain things that he believes there should only be one flavor of. Like that's the part that Tim loses me is like, he likes certain flavors as long as it's the one that he likes. But like Kenny said, I've got two takes that I agree with. One is the buffet strategy. Like if I'm going for all you can eat sushi, like I'm looking through the menu and I'm like I'm doing the math in my head of how my first order is going to already pay off what my all you can eat sushi buffet is.
Yeah, but hold on. He's not, I mean, I can see all you can eat sushi. That could be one thing. Tim's not talking about all you can eat sushi here.
Okay, so like Kenny said, Vegas buffet, crab legs. I'm beelining to the crab legs. Like you got to get your money's worth on these things. Otherwise, you will feel unsatisfied because you'll have eaten too much and you'll have known that you could have spent less money getting better food or less food.
Those are more expensive type buffets. I'm a Golden Corral guy. I go to Golden Corral with my grandmother every Thanksgiving and I love it. But get me to the carving station.
Yeah.
Give me the carving station.
I'm with you,
Give
with
me
the
the prime rib. Yeah. Give me the prime rib on that. Yeah.
And the other one is car washes. I once got stuck in a car wash and I haven't gone in one since. I had to call the gas station to get them to shut off the car wash and get me out. My car went off the track.
Your car was pretty clean though, probably, right? It was really clean.
Oh yeah, very clean. I would like to have a valet that would take my car through the car wash. I'm with Tim on that. It's not a terrible take if you're afraid of car washes, which Tim is. Tim's afraid of a lot of things, but I can relate to him on this one as somebody who has been stuck in a car wash before.
Okay, you see, you would like to have a valet to bring your car through a car wash.
Yeah, it's something I need. I just don't do car washes anymore.
He was pitching it as it was like a viable economic opportunity for gas stations. That if they had a valet to bring your car through and you could just chill in the gas station, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe you could just hire an Uber, get it to drive through the gas station, then you pay them. Like you have the drop-off spot as the plaza next door, and you say, can you take it through the car wash? They take it through. You give them a tip. You say, I'll tip you $10, and you work out a little deal with them.
Oh, I don't know if this ever came up on the show. I don't think it did because it's not listed in any of these. Maybe it did. Jeremy, we were talking to Tim about Uber recently, and he thought it was a good idea that you could get an Uber, but you got to drive the car, not the driver.
That's just like, that's not Uber. I don't know what else to say about it. There are programs like that. I think Communauto was one where you could you walk up, the car is there, it's available for you. It's 2 blocks away. You get in, you drive and park it, and you end your session. It's a totally different thing. I don't understand why he would think that he's come up with some great idea that Uber should embrace when it's not exactly what their business model is. But again, I don't put anything past this guy at this point.
Well, that brings us to the next category. And this one's this one actually might be the toughest because all of Cust's impressions sound exactly the same. So it's really hard to differentiate them. Did anyone have one that really stuck out? Because he broke out a Boston accent on the show last week, and it wasn't bad.
It was really good.
It wasn't bad.
Really good. Yeah.
But the category is most Cust impression, right? So I don't know, like the Jimmy Stewart's not even on this list. I mean, that's one that would be good. But the Christopher Walken, I think, is like the trademark Cust impression because it's like, it sounds a little bit like Christopher Walken, but it sounds more like Cust. And like a lot of these, I guess, impressions go under that, but he does the Christopher Walken one so much more often. So that's the one I'm going with. It's not a great category because, like you said, it's kind of like all of these impressions kind of sound like a mix of Cust and the celebrity, and they're just not very good.
I have yet to figure out who his Kelsey Grammer actually sounds like. It just sounds
like him.
It sounds like Fancy Cust.
Yeah,
with like a slight British accent, like a British accent that's like this much. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
The funny thing about that, Pat, is one of the older ones, Cust Corner 21 or something. You told him that he sounded like Kelsey Grammer. And then, it's a year later, he decides that he's going to add this Kelsey Grammer impression to his repertoire, and he sounds less like Kelsey Grammer trying to do it than he just does in normal speech. So, I find that one, Walter Matthau, Bob Dole, they all sound exactly the same. I'm with Aaron once again. I think that Christopher Walken's got to get this one. He's been doing it just as long as he's been doing any of them. Jimmy Stewart's another good one that is missing from this list, but so is John Wayne. When we get the Pilgrim Parlay, we always hear a couple of John Wayne impressions throughout the Thanksgiving episodes, and that one's got to be on there next year. And I think if we get some more Pilgrim Parlays a year from now, then that could be locked for next year.
Kenny, did you find that these categories got progressively harder to make a choice as it went along?
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember the Lucille Ball one. Like, I want to
it sounds
hear that
like
one again.
It honestly sounds like Lucille Ball if she had throat cancer, is what it sounds like.
I mean, she sounds like that sometimes. She has that. She smoked Mad Jacks all the time, so it could have been that. It's the Walken one because that's the one we hear the most. He brings that on every 2 or 3 NFL shows out there. So that's the one that I'm most familiar with. I'd have to go back and re-listen for the other ones before I make a final vote on that because I don't quite remember the other ones. The only one that sticks in my mind is the Christopher Walken one. I want to hear the Paul Bear one. I feel like he could do that.
It just sounds like
he's got like the Paul Bearer chin. You know what I'm saying? Like he's got like that chin that Paul Bearer would have. So I feel like he could do like that type of a voice, but I don't remember hearing it. So I need to go back and listen to that.
Most Cust story. There are 14 nominees here to pick from. I don't even know where to start. Bronsteter, do you got one?
Another easy one for me. Tim getting into the shower and turning the water on immediately is the calling card of an insane person.
That's it.
I've never heard of anybody that does this.
That's it.
Why would you want to do this? Because it's freezing cold water off the top, and then it gets warm, and then you're too hot, and then you make it cold, and then you're too cold. Like, he doesn't want to waste the water, but this is a guy who throws out a third of a tube of toothpaste because he doesn't want to be bothered to push it. Like, it's just so contradictory to so many different things that he does. The bottled water with the toothpaste, like the toothbrush. I honestly, I've never heard of another single person that's ever done this before. You get into the shower, you turn it on, and you're standing right under the water. It's horrible. It's the thing that kids are afraid of. Like, kids don't want to go into a shower because they're afraid. Like, my daughter, when she's like taking a bath, she's always looking up at the shower to make sure that like the water is not going to come down because it's horrifying to think that you're going to be there when the water first comes down. I just think that this one's a slam dunk for me.
I like that it was because he didn't want to waste water, but then it was revealed that he took 3 showers a day.
It's crazy. It's like everything about it is so crazy that like that's why it's the easy one for me. It's just like there's no sanity to it whatsoever.
Jeremy, did you have a different number one?
I didn't. I think we're unanimous once again. Just when you thought that he couldn't do anything crazier than pour the milk in before the cereal, he tells everybody that he gets into the
Colin
cup.
Morikawa does that. Colin Morikawa does that now.
So there's two people then who do that. There's only one who gets into the tub and then turns the water on first. You know what? A lot of the time, I'll tell some of these new takes or stories to my girlfriend, and she just kind of rolls her eyes. This was the first time that she literally sat back and said, "Please, no one actually does this. This is not a thing that actually happens." Like this is bothering, people who aren't even listeners of the show because it is so insane.
There's maybe Kenny, there is one like this every year, like the cereal, the milk first, then the cereal. Sock shoe was one that was.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, this is the one. There's no other choice. Who the hell goes in their shower cold first? Like, okay, I used to do that when I used to be on a swim team. Okay, because you want to get the cold shower, so when you go out and you dive into the water's warm. Okay, there's a reason for that. Okay, I'll tell you a story. First time I was on a swim team, I was diving in. I had my little Speedos on. I dove in, to the thing, and my Speedos fell off, and it went down to my ankles, and my little thing was like hanging around like that. I pulled my Speedos up, and I ended up swimming, and I ended up finishing third. So that's my little Speedo story. But when you're in a shower and you're getting ready for work or something, you need the hot shower. Give me the hot water all the time where everything's fogged up. Give me that.
Okay, so let's throw that one out. If there was a runner up for this category.
Okay.
Now what are we doing here?
Okay.
The Midnight Diet Coke is pretty crazy too.
Or not crazy. Not crazy. I've done it.
Like you'd get up and get out of your bed to go have a Diet Coke in the middle of the night.
If I got up and I'm thirsty as hell and I look in my fridge down here and there's no
caffeine in
water
it.
bottle.
Like it's the middle of the night.
Yeah, but I mean, like you're already tired. I'll go ahead and just chug that and it's something cold.
Yeah, but the point if you're tired is like you want to get hydrated and get back into bed and sleep.
Sometimes
Why would you have
there's
a
not
caffeinated
water in
beverage?
the fridge. Sometimes you want something ice cold. Okay, when you get up.
You get ice, you put water in.
Yeah, but that's just too much work. You just go to the fridge, you find the first thing that's cold, you chug it, and you bounce. I've done that.
Even drinking a beer in the night, I think, would be more sane than drinking a Diet Coke.
I would agree with that. I'm 100% fan of that. I'm with you on that one.
Okay. Well, Jeremy, how about when he was instructed by producer Paul Shaughnessy to turn up his microphone? He just started turning up the volume. Or, no, sorry, he kept speaking louder into the microphone instead of turning it up.
I'm just waiting for the time that he turns his volume off because he doesn't want you to hear what he's saying. And he thinks he's muted himself. And then he says something that shouldn't ever have gone through to the show. You know what, though? Like, if I have to pick another one, this lawnmower take of thinking that everybody should wear earmuffs. Like, if I'm mowing the lawn, I'm definitely going to wear shoes. I don't want, a rock to hit my foot or maybe my eye. I'm going to wear glasses or something. But this is not like working around like heavy machinery. It's just a lawnmower. I don't think that any even experts would tell you that you absolutely need to have earmuffs every time you mow your lawn. But on the same token, I kind of agree with his Shrove Tuesday or Fat Tuesday take about hotcakes. Why aren't they part of the all-day menu just for that one day of the year? So, as Kenny had mentioned, sometimes you actually do agree with some of Cust's takes, and that would be one instance where I do.
It's not a terrible take. Like, I think that if you're going to make an exception one day of the year, that would be a good one. The umbrella one gets me too. Like, you guys live on the East Coast. Doesn't it rain a lot out there? Like,
Yes.
Even in the summer, aren't there like waves that the water comes at you?
It has been literally raining for 20 straight hours as we record this.
Yeah, like get a good umbrella. It costs like $60.
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't even need a good umbrella. I mean, the key to an umbrella in windy conditions is keeping it as close to your head as possible. Because so it doesn't get as much of that wind flow going in. If you keep it high up here, that's just gonna fly around and go crazy up there. You just keep it low, keep it tight, and do your walk.
If you're buying cheap umbrellas and they keep breaking on you, like the threshold to go from cheap umbrella to expensive umbrella is like, we're talking about a variance of like $40 here. Like, it's not a big jump. Like, we're not talking about like going from like a Kia to like a Ferrari. Like, we're not talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars here. We're talking about going from like a $15 umbrella that's going to like shoot up on you and the metal's going to break to going to like a $50 umbrella that's probably going to last you years, if not a lifetime. So that's take bothered me a lot. Like, just spend a little bit extra. We're not asking you to break the bank here.
I have a theory on this one. And I mean, Jeremy and I are from the same place, so maybe you can kind of lean into this too. Is that no one really walks in this city, Jeremy? It's not like like the transit here is so bad, no one takes transit. Everyone literally drives everywhere unless you live in the core of downtown. And Tim has always kind of lived here, or when he lived at university and he lived on campus and just had to walk to teach his class and go to the classroom kind of thing. That I just don't think he has any experience of actually walking around with an umbrella.
I mean, that could be it. And perhaps in recent times, he's been so irrationally afraid of getting his second parking ticket in history that he's parking really, really far away, making sure that he's in somewhere where, he's not going to be breaking any rules. And then the first time he went for a walk with an umbrella, it was a $10 from the gas station job, and it didn't hold up in an absolute East Coast type of rainstorm. Who would have thought something like that wouldn't do it? And now all of a sudden, one of the biggest rivals at the moment for Cust is Big Umbrella.
Yeah, I would have to think so. The shoveling one makes sense in a way. I mean, people aren't taking multiple tea breaks while they're shoveling their driveway. But if you get tired, you go take a break so you don't have a heart attack or something like that. I do like the add-on to that claim, though, that he says he is good at shoveling because he's faster than his grandma at doing it.
They need a show with Tim and his grandma, because I need to know where all of this came from. And I feel like listening to all these cuss corners, it's from his grandmother. You get a lot from your grandma. My grandmother, crazy ninja grandmother who my friends all hated. You learn things from your grandmother. So I want to see like that sitcom, because I think Cust's grandmother's still alive, correct?
That is correct. Yeah, he still goes and sees her. She goes out. He brings her to the grocery store. She yells at the employees just like Tim does. So it makes sense.
Oh man, my grandmother's the worst. She will yell at anyone. She will yell. She wants 10% tips. We will go to Sizzler, the buffet, and she will bring the big purse with like the Tupperware in the big purse, right? So she'll be like, Kenny, go get some fried chicken. I'll be like, all right, I go get some fried chicken. Shove that into her purse in a Tupperware. So grandmothers do some crazy ass shit. I would love to see that show. That's a Mayo Media Net sitcom that we should probably get here in the future.
So the Cam Stewart special.
That is the Cam move. My grandma does that. One of my grandmas does that as well. But Tim's in his early 30s. He shouldn't be doing this.
That's true. But then in the sitcom, you would know how much of a hold, Tim's grandma has. I feel like he has that hold, because my grandmother's the same. How you watch some movies where there's like Big Mama, okay, and like she runs the household of how like a lot of black families they'll call Big Mama. She runs the household. She is the same thing with Korean households. My grandmother is the Big Mama. Whatever she says is the way it's got to be, is the way it's got to go. And so I think that would be interesting to see from like a white person's perspective. I want to see it with Tim, and I want to see it with his grandma. I think it would be a funny show.
Okay. Now we move on.
It's pretty on brand too, Pat. Just before we do move on, this is a guy who, if he gets 10% on, support on a poll, he declares that a win. So obviously he's going to set the bar very low when it comes to being good at shoveling. If you can do it faster or somehow better, take less tea breaks than a 70-year-old woman, then you know what? You're good at shoveling. This is on brand.
We move on to Feinberg very briefly. Geoff's biggest rival. I don't know if you guys have takes on these ones. Obviously, Kenny, you know Geoff really well. Bronsteter, obviously, you know Geoff really well. Jeremy, you've never met Geoff. So how does this kind of... They know what he's like. So you just get to be an observer of Feinberg. But do you feel like any of these are like real beefs that he has with people?
And Geoff is, I've noticed over the last little bit, he's kind of calmed down when it comes to getting really kind of riled up by Cust. Like there was a lot more yelling, say, a year ago than there is now. That being said, I was still surprised just to not see his name on this list. I thought that his biggest rival would be Cust himself. So, I know that he's gotten mad at Charger social media in the past. I know Darren Rovell's gotten a lot of heat from him. But again, in preparation for this, listening to some of the older Cust, can we get a dark horse candidate, maybe just a write-in ballot for the woman at McDonald's that
Yeah.
needs to sit at her
Didn't she
own
win a
table.
couple of years ago? Didn't she
Did
win a
she?
couple of
Okay,
years
there
ago?
you
I don't
go.
know.
Yeah.
It could have happened. I don't know, but I feel like I'm with you on the social media one. That's the winner. Because
think so,
the reason why I think it's the winner is because they actually started doing a transcript of that Monday presser. I don't know if it was because of Feinberg and him bitching and complaining every Wednesday show about how they're not posting the Monday presser for his Chargers. And so I think that he might have had a little bit to do with them actually putting the transcript out. And of course, Geoff can't read it. He has to have the app that reads it for him, which, technology. Yeah, that's where we are nowadays. I'm cool with that. But I think that one has to be the winner for me.
Bronsteter,
think so, too.
Did Geoff always have these beefs?
He gets annoyed by things pretty easily and then hangs on to it. So I feel like he's gotten a little bit better at not holding it. But for this particular one, he kept bringing it up every single week. And I don't think he wasn't that angered by the fact that they wouldn't post it. It was just like a big inconvenience for him. Like he wanted it really badly, but he understood why they weren't posting it. But I think that's why it was like a rival to him, because he was just so annoyed by the fact that they stopped posting it. And like, if you run social media for a team, like this is a public press conference, like a media conference. Like, what's the harm of posting it on the website? Like, why wouldn't you post it? Don't you want to keep your fans engaged with the brand and let them watch these press conferences? Like, the reason you have these press conferences is so that the coach can answer questions. Were people in the room, like the media members, complaining that they were putting out the video because it would take away from their articles? Like, maybe that's who Geoff should have his beef with. But he was pretty hurt by the fact that they just stopped posting.
I guess the Chargers are going to win this one. I thought it was going to be that random New York Post writer that he just kept randomly going after one day. Every single year, we have like one blue checkmark person that Geoff just takes offense with and just needles it for like 4 days straight. Then you never hear about it again. He just simmers underneath the surface. But this seems to happen. He hates beat writers who don't ask the questions that he would ask if he was there. And then he complains that he doesn't get the Zoom password to get into the meetings and stuff like that.
I mean, he probably hates golf journalists then, because they don't do any of that at all. I don't hear him bitching about him that much. It's got to be the Chargers media. That's what it is for me.
Our best Cust corner of the year. Obviously, we haven't released none of the ones from football season are included because they get packaged together the following year. So the Cust corner 31.1 and 31.2 were just best ofs football season. I didn't realize that I think we only had one Gary in Cust corner this year. No Cam Cust corners. It was just me, Geoff, and Tim the entire time. Bronsteter, I think we need to change that up for next year. We need to get like a rotation of a third person in on this.
I agree with you. I think that people will have different approaches to bringing out the Cust out of Cust. Garyon does a great job at it. Like I've never met Garyon, but he's just great at like needling Tim and getting him to go even further
so
down
good
the
at
rabbit
that.
hole.
He's so good at that. He's so good. You're 100% right about that, Aaron.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I miss Garyon.
Well,
I need more Garyon with Cust.
Well, the problem with Geoff sometimes is that if he's not engaged in the topic, he just looks at his phone and doesn't listen. So that's a struggle.
Yeah, I
You
can
got to do
imagine
it
that's a struggle.
non-golf, non-Thursday through Sunday. Probably you'd be okay.
Yes,
And
that is.
Jeff's always
yeah,
been
yeah.
like that too.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Has he always? He's always been somewhat
He's
distracted.
always like gotten distracted by his phone. Like he's just always, I don't know. Even back when I worked with him at HSR, it was like that too.
All right. Well, Jeremy, do you have any recollection of which one you enjoyed the best?
This is always a tough one every year because I find I keep the takes and the stories in mind and not the actual entire episode. We mentioned the radio layoffs earlier, and I remember the spa trip having me howling. So I guess if I've got to make a pick, I'm going with 31.2.
31.2. A reminder to everyone out there, hit the description or go on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever it is, search Cust Corner. You can listen to all of the back catalog. They're almost all up there. I think I'm up to 25 of getting them all up there. The other ones are up on the Pat Mayo Experience feed or up on Mayo Media Network on YouTube if you want to watch the video versions of them. All right, this has been a hotly contested one right now. This is the big category that everyone is voting in. Most insane person of the year. Tim has launched an entire campaign to not win this year, campaigning for Geoff to be the winner. I'm on the ballot. Paul is on the ballot, but obviously we're not serious contenders, according to Tim. It's between Tim and it's between Geoff. First off, Jeremy, we'll go to you with this. If Geoff wins Most Insane Person of the Year, Tim claims that I have to take Insane Person off of his phoner board when he's on the screen. However, they didn't take Cuba Gooding's Oscar away from him the next year when he didn't win. He's still Oscar winner Cuba Gooding Jr., right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's hoping for the best. He's asking for the world, right? If he were to somehow be successful and not win this and it went to Geoff, then he wants to take he's going to take a year-long victory lap. And we know that. I don't see it happening. I think what's more likely is Pat, that you win next year for all the times you actually try and talk sense into this guy with his horrible takes. Because Feinberg, really, I mean, I don't know that he seems all that insane, and he's up against the most insane person that many of us have ever even listened to speak. So he's a lock once again. He's a lock every year. Like I said, maybe you give him a run for his money next year, but Geoff, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like we've got a winner and then we've got 3 also rans.
Well, it's tough because this is the closest. I mean, I would think so. I don't know the result yet, Kenny. But this is the closest it will have to be because of Tim's campaign. I think people are just blindly voting for Geoff for like laughs. But as Jeremy pointed out, we're going to get a year-long victory lap if somehow Tim comes in second in this. And I don't think that any of us want that. Okay,
so here's the thing. Tim is going to win as the most insane person. He should. He's fucking insane. But one thing I will say, if you listen to the show, I guess for the Pro Bowl, I think it was the Pro Bowl show that he did. Okay, so Geoff asking what can happen in the Winter Olympics that would make him watch the Winter Olympics. Geoff went ahead. First off, you all know Geoff is a Jewish man. Okay, and he went and said that he wants to see a kidnapping happen at the Olympics on the 50th anniversary of the Munich Games. Most of us know what happened at the Munich Games. I think this might have a couple of people shift over to Geoff because that was wild. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was funny. I thought it was hilarious. But looking at it from the outside in, there could be some craziness involved with Geoff having that type of take as a Jewish man on the 50th anniversary of the Munich Games. But Tim is the fucking craziest. There's no fucking doubt about that.
Yeah, I'll co-sign on that. I mean, Feinberg walked it back, though. He realized, like, the thing about Feinberg is he has self-awareness. Like, he realized what he had done and walked it back immediately, whereas Tim would probably just double down on it. Tim is the obvious winner of this. And I think that to make Tim happy, for next year's graphics, you should have second most insane person on Geoff's board, just to make Tim happy and continue doing the show without having sour grapes.
Well, let me throw this out here to you guys, because this was a point of contention when we were putting together the ballot and what the nominees were going to be. What if Cam was on this too, Bronsteter?
Oh, it still is Tim. I mean, Cam is certainly in the mix, but he's like more Feinberg level. Like he's still like a distant second.
I don't know.
I'd say that Friday show you do with Cam and Rob must listen every week. It's so good. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Pat. Go ahead.
Cam might be up on the worst, most insane take of the year, though, with the equine, arguing that equine were not animals, that horses were not qualified. That's probably worse than any Tim take of the year.
What about Cam leaving eggs on the carpet and not cleaning that shit? That's just sort of wild too, in my opinion. I would have to say,
but yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Cam's most egregious takes, Jeremy, are generally around him being lazy or him being cheap. Those are the two things that it really boils down to.
Yeah, I mean, Cam he's always a great guest when you have him on or on any show. Anything I've ever seen him on, he's very entertaining. But I got to agree. I mean, even if he says something that makes you kind of shake your head or wonder, like where he's coming from, at no point do you ever put him in the same realm in terms of insanity as Tim Anderson. So, like, you could put him on the ballot. You could put as many people as you want on the ballot, as long as Tim Andercursed is listed, he's going to win this category.
I feel like Cam is like a role model for me. Like, I feel like we have similar vibes when it comes to, I don't know, craziness, wildness, whatever it takes. I'm a big fan of Cam. I love having him on that show on Friday. That show is so good.
Well, now we get to some historic awards. You think that Medina Spirit is going to win this year but will it win this category of most cussed murder of all time? There's 2 horses on here. Mr. Peanut is on here. Sean Connery. 2 James Bonds are on this list. Roger Moore and John Connery. We also have John B. Anderson, fringe 1980 presidential candidate. The guy who developed Control X is on here. John Madden has joined it. So there's a lot to pick from.
Control X guy. Oh, man, I forgot about the Control X guy.
That's my pick. The Control X guy's my pick. It's so obscure.
Jesus. Oh, my God.
For it to happen that same week, like, that can't be a coincidence. Like,
no,
a lot of these could be coincidental. Like, people talk about Sean Connery all the time. But the Control X thing is, like, so out of left field. That for that guy to die at the same time as Cust, like, learning about it and talking about it and being so excited about it, like, that one has to win for that reason, because it's just so, like, it's like, you have to look under a microscope to find who this individual is. The fact that somebody was able to figure out that guy who came up with it died that same week as Tim, and figure out, like, that guy existed, like, that to me is, like, it has to win because of that.
I think I'm on board with it too. Jeremy, you got any? Do you have a swerve take?
You know what? I'm just wondering, right? Like, is no one safe? He's racking up a body count that, like, that we haven't even heard of. Like, it's like you mentioned Dexter, or like maybe Jack Bauer on 24. Like, how many people have to die before he stops doing this? The Control X guy, I mean, his family barely even knew he existed. And sure enough, Cust makes mention of this one hot key that he never knew about, and suddenly the guy's gone. I did vote for Sean Connery only because I'm hoping that he just stops here. Roger Moore, Sean Connery, 2 of the best.
He hasn't.
Do it. And I mean, how long until he goes through the entire list?
There was one last week. The one last week hurt my soul. The Meatloaf one.
Oh yeah,
the meatloaf one hurt my soul. What did
he didn't discuss it on the show? Did he? I don't think he discussed Meatloaf on the show.
You sent a tweet out saying what Tim listened to literally the night before Meatloaf died. He's like, I was listening to Meatloaf, Dashboard on the Paradise Light, or whatever that song is. If you listen to my podcast, the Fantasy Golf Gym podcast this past week, you hear a story. My first kiss, my first titty feel, Meatloaf song. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, like that is a huge moment in my life. Everybody remembers the first titty feel, right? And so, like, Meatloaf was, like, ingrained in my brain. Like, I'll never forget him. It was I Would Do Anything for Love. It was Bat Out of Hell 2. I was 12 years old. Stacey Nom's House, and I was, I fucking, got that first kiss, got that first titty feel, and motherfucking Tim killed him. He's dead.
I got nothing.
I think Control X is the winner. Meatloaf will be on next year's ballot, though, Kenny, so that's good. Last one. Most unrecognized moment of the Custy retrospective. There's a lot of good ones in here. I think this is the one that I can't figure out the most, and maybe you guys can help me out with this. Tim's Rick Moranis take. When Rick Moranis was assaulted after being randomly brought up by Tim on the show, and I don't think anyone mentioned Rick Moranis in years, but the fact that Tim called Rick Moranis a top-tier influencer, I think is the crazier part of this.
Well, there was a reason, though, because he was on that commercial with Ryan Reynolds, so he, like, had come back into, like, the public perception. So I don't know if I think this one's bad. I mean, it's pretty bad that he got assaulted right after Tim mentioned it. Like, he came back, people talked about him, and then Tim mentioned them, and then he got assaulted. So like there was a buffer in between where Tim had mentioned him after he came back for that commercial where that happened. This was like my second place one, but it was up there because it's my third place one.
King Ralph? Are we big fans of King Ralph? Because I was honestly looking through them, and I just remember how excited he was for the movie Cats and how incredible it was going to be.
Oh my
and it was like
God.
the biggest disaster of the last 10 years.
That one's pretty good too.
Yeah, I'm a Broadway guy. Like, I love Broadway. I'm going to the 50 years of Broadway show at the Kennedy Center here in a couple of weeks. Like, I'm a huge Broadway fan. So that one hurt me, but Cats really ain't that great when it comes to Broadway. The one that I'm thinking of when it comes to this is Chili's. Okay. Growing up, once I turned 21, I loved Chili's. Back then, when I was 21, you go to Chili's, you go to happy hour. They got the chicken wings. They got the pasta. You get all that for free when you go there for happy hour. Have a couple of beers. There was one right across the street from the golf course that I used to play all the time. Okay, it's not there anymore. The Chili's are gone. I blame Tim for this one because we would go after golf. We'd go to Chili's. We'd play Golden Tee. We'd drink a whole bunch. We would eat all the wings. We would eat all the free spaghetti. We would do all that. It was glorious. I'd go there. I'd spend $25, come home hammered and happy and full. And now they're gone. They're gone. And that one upsets me. It upsets me a lot.
That was from the 2017 Most Andercursed. That was the Most Andercursed winner for the non-sports category. Jeremy, I guess there's no Chili's where you are anymore because that's where Tim cursed them out of.
Yeah, I don't know the last time I saw a Chili's anyway. I find that he craves the nostalgia so much that he just kind of dreams up in his head that a lot of these things exist or continue to be part of, popular culture that are long gone. And Chili seems to be, if it isn't completely on its way out, Cust will see to it that it is inadvertently. I did find this a pretty tough one to make a definitive pick. The pass interference thing. I mean, I'm surprised no one ever thought of this before, right? Like Dr. Tim Anderson has cracked the code here on how to defend an NFL level receiver. He mentioned Cats long before anybody even knew that this movie was coming out. I tried to watch it. I couldn't watch it. And Pat, as you know, I love bad movies. This is not the type of bad movie that can be enjoyed. It was horrible. Would it have been just as bad if he didn't mention it? I'm not so sure. I think that Cust kind of really put the nail in the coffin on this one. I think that I did pick Rick Moranis solely because being called a top tier influencer when this is someone who I haven't seen in anything in 30 years. I mean, I remember Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. That's the 90s. That's the early 90s. A top tier influencer? Like, I don't know. That just got me in a way that I had to give my vote for that one. But this was a tough one to pick.
Bronsteter, where did you go with this? Because the Rick Moranis one won the 2020 Most Andercursed Non-Sports Award.
Well, I was on the fence because him saying that Moranis is a top tier influencer is like, for older people, he kind of is right because Rick Moranis hasn't been around for a while. You get that feeling of
Do you
nostalgia.
just say this because your entire look is based off Rick Moranis?
No, but although that is fair. But and I have Canadian glasses. I got you. I don't know if Rick Moranis is Jewish, but he might be. But regardless of that, like that's what these commercials are like. They just have like a Lindsay Lohan Super Bowl commercial. They're trying to like get nostalgia. So I wouldn't say it's a top tier influencer, but I get what Cust is saying. The two that I'm on the fence about was Guardians of the Galaxy, which was like objectively one of the biggest movies of the decade. Like for him to say nobody watched Guardians of the Galaxy is one of the more disconnected takes he's had. But the pass interference one is just so egregious because there's no chance that, regardless of what position he was playing, that he would catch Keenan Allen under any circumstance. Like if it's him, because he's saying it would be him if he was defending an NFL receiver. Like he wouldn't get anywhere close to Keenan Allen to commit pass interference. And if he were to be able to get close, it would be on the line where you're allowed to make hand contact. Are you not? Like at the line of scrimmage, you're allowed to right? Am I right about that?
Yeah,
That's not a
Keenan
penalty.
Allen just blow him
Yeah.
up off the line.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's really no way that he'd be able to get anywhere near Keenan Allen in order to commit the pass interference. And that's why I'm going with this one. I just think it's just so, like, it's, again, like the earlier categories, it's just such an overestimation of what he's capable of as a human being that it's just silly. So I'm going to go with that one.
I mean, there's two on here as well. Like, the New York Mets have been on this from 2017 to 2020. We could probably add 2021 because they're on the ballot again. Tim picks the Mets every year, and the worst things happen to them ever since he started picking them. But I think this is the 2018 winner for worst take, subjectively incorrect, was Tim calling SpaghettiOs top-tier Italian cuisine.
Yes.
That's pretty bad.
Here's the thing. It's delicious when you're like, where I am now. I'm drunk and stoned. SpaghettiOs would be fine for me right now. But it is not fucking Italian cuisine. Tim, what the fuck? Come on now, bro.
And this is coming from Tim, who doesn't drink or do drugs. So how does this
Like
even
I said
happen?
earlier,
Like
you almost have to
sober, like
disqualify-
who the hell at that age, without drugs or alcohol, eats SpaghettiOs? Come on now.
Well, he's so attached to his childhood. I kind of understand it. But it's like I said, when he says something is the best, you have to disqualify it because it just falls into the category of him not having expanded his world, which is just, it is very Cust. But the claims, like, I get what they're rooted in. They're rooted in an inability to explore his horizons. And I think it's kind of more sad than anything. And I know he's making these bold declarations, but like, if you take his "this is the best" and you rephrase it as "the best Italian food I've ever had is SpaghettiOs," it becomes more of a sad thing than something that you want to like get
man,
upset
you're
about.
100% right, Aaron. 100% right. It's like sad. You feel bad for him. Like,
No,
what
you
the
don't.
fuck?
No, you can try to feel bad for him, but then Jeremy, he'll say something like, "SpaghettiOs are the best Italian food ever. I don't need to go to Sicily to know that."
Yeah, that's the problem. He's like, I don't need to try anything else. I
That's
don't need
true.
to try another type of Italian food because I've tried the best. I've tried SpaghettiOs.
A
That's
pizza
true.
place. He
Pat,
said it's the
didn't
best pizza.
Didn't he try to explain to one of our friends who is Italian why he didn't need to go to Italy to try their food? Like, he wouldn't even refer to it as Italian cuisine because he already knew. I mean, he's talking about ESM for East Side Mario's as about as good as Italian food gets, or Olive Garden. I mean, I'm starting to think that, he would make the claim that a Delissio pizza is top tier Italian cuisine or something. Like, I get it. It is kind of a little bit sad when you realize that he's never gone outside of that bubble, but he brings it on himself. He doubles down on these claims and he doesn't abandon them. So it's hard to feel bad for him because of that.
I can feel bad for him because I was there. I'm an old guy. Like, it took me a lot for shit to change. But Tim, I'm talking this straight to you on the pod. I'm talking this to you. Accept the change. It will make your life better. I'm what? You're what? 35, 34. Tim's like 35, 34. I'm almost 42. So I'm an old guy. It took me a long time to be able to make these changes because I'm so comfortable with what I had. Comfortability is something that I love in my life, but I've had to change that recently, and it has made my life better. So, Tim, as a public service announcement to you, think about trying new things. Think about it. Once you do, it will open your eyes. You're a smart man. I have a degree. You have a
That's
degree.
the other thing about it, though, Kenny. Like, I listen to a lot of these older podcasts where he's slagging things about how, like, oh, this is terrible. And now, like, I know for a fact that he likes those things. Now that he's actually tried them, he, like, loves them. They become part of his life.
Exactly.
It's like the one major flaw in Cust is that, like, whenever he shuts the door on something, as soon as he tries it, he's like a big fan.
Yeah.
It's like, it's for the elite, or it's for like these hipster millennials. And then he tries it and it's like this great thing.
This happened most recently with wireless earbuds. He said that only people wore them to be seen, and that they were stupid, and that wired headphones were making a comeback. He got
And
them
then
for
3
Christmas.
weeks
Now he
ago,
loves
3
them.
weeks ago, what did he say? 3 weeks ago, Jeremy, what did he say, Jeremy?
Yeah,
What did he say 3 weeks ago?
He got them for Christmas, and now he loves them, and he can't believe that he can just press a button and they start playing.
Can't believe it. Can't believe it. Because he's just never has opened his mind to these things.
But
I was once like that. Tim, you could change.
But we
You can
try.
better
But
yourself.
we do tell him these things.
Oh, I know. Oh, I know.
know.
That's what makes it so frustrating. It's like,
Oh, that's why you're good friends. Friends tell your friends to try.
it's okay to
sometimes-
like a bunch. Like just because you like something new doesn't mean the other thing is bad. Like if you like, I would eat a can of SpaghettiOs right here and now, and it would be great. I would enjoy it. But it doesn't mean that it's like top tier Italian food. It like reminds you of being a kid. It's like him and I walked Tim through buying an espresso machine and told him when there was a good deal, and like he was really
So
excited.
you're the
about
one that got
espresso.
him on that. You're the one that got him on the
Yeah.
espresso.
But that doesn't mean
Okay,
Tim
well,
Hortons
good for him.
coffee is terrible, or that he never needs to drink Tim Hortons coffee again. It is what it is. It's okay. It's not sludge.
I like mine espresso. It's fine. I can't believe he knows how to use it.
Fantastic.
I know it's just pressing one button, but it seemed really complicated for him to figure out.
Yeah,
You
you
know,
fill up the water, and that's it. You hit the button.
Every once in a while, he will kind of come around on these sort of things. I remember, trying to explain to him that the flyer at the grocery store it's for the masses. But there are apps that will give you coupons for the things that you buy literally every time you go there. And he looked and he admitted, he said, that sounds like a good, like that's a good way to do it. Did he ever go and download the app? Did he get himself, one of these cards? No, but he at least admitted that it was a good idea.
And the McDonald's app is a great example too. I remember listening to a recent one where he was so adamantly against getting a McDonald's app, and now he like lives by the McDonald's app and loves it.
You get those points.
You get one on the app and in person, and you get the stamp for your coffee in person and on the app.
We need to get him enough points to have a date with Grimace. Is what we need. Him and Grimace would be like twins. Like him and Louis Anderson, another guy. God damn it.
Yeah,
Tim just be killing.
January 2022 might be the most cursed month of all months so
Jeez.
far. Like there's been
Good
some
God.
egregiously bad takes. There's been 2 deaths. It's been a rough go in January.
I pulled that prank on him, and my grandmother died like a couple days later. I'm worried about that. I might have because I entered the custosphere, that it could have affected my life.
Oh my God. I mean, that's
Yeah.
like not even funny. Shit, I'm sorry.
I'm
No.
sorry.
I mean,
God.
it's okay. She was 91, but like before I contacted Cust, everything was going fine.
Jeez. Oh my God. Oh,
We've got one for next year then.
That's
That,
next
like,
year. Fucking Tim killing goddamn.
Pat's writing
Aaron's
it down. I can
grandmother.
see him with his pen.
Fuck. God damn.
Well,
shit.
I think that's the mood we need to end with here on this show. That's really fitting the theme of what we're going for. I'm really sorry to hear about that, Bronsteter.
Oh my
No, that's
God.
okay. But I'm just saying, it could be a coincidence, but it probably isn't.
It probably isn't.
Probably isn't.
Oh my
That is
God,
true.
That's awful.
Kenny Kim, thank you for being on. I really appreciate it. You have any final thoughts?
I'm gonna pour myself one last drink because I don't have to work tomorrow. I'm extremely happy. Thank you Pat for having me on. Anything that has to involve with Tim, I am in. Anytime you want me, my friend.
Jeremy Keefe, thank you this is your first appearance on this show since I want to say the winter of 2013 when we talked about The Room.
Yeah, and it's been a long time coming. I'm happy to be back. Pat, you had mentioned on the show too that maybe a sort of après Cust kind of show might happen at some point, and I really think there's value in that. We can't be the only 3 or 4 people in the world who want to talk about the crazy stuff that Cust comes up with. So anytime that I know you've got a lot on your plate. Anytime you think that you're going to launch that show, you just let me know. I think I can speak for Kenny. He's all about it. So you've probably got 3 people who are ready to get involved in that one right away.
Yeah, what do you think about that, Bronsteter? Almost like a watch what happens live. I can be the Andy Cohen figure. We can have 2 Pat's friends on the show to break down a Cuss Corner. Then we can take viewer calls after people watch Cuss Corner or something like that.
Dude, how amazing would that be?
Yeah, there are plenty of custropologists out there, so I'm happy to be among them.
All right. Well, that's going to do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. Remember to vote in the Custy Awards. It ends February 28th, 2020 will be the final day that you can vote in the Custy Awards for this year. But if you subscribe to the Cust Corner feed on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, which you should leave a rating and review so more people can find it. More people need to find Cust Corner. It does pretty well on the charts, but I release them so periodically that sparsely that it needs the reviews to really help keep it going. You can watch the videos up on Mayo Media Network as well. So please go do that. Thank you all for watching. Smash the like on the way out, sub to the network, and I'll see you next time.
Mayo Experience! Experience!